First, what I recommend you do is you have what I'll call best practice content creation checklist. So 4 S's. Just remember the 4 S's. First one, segment. That's who. That's your personas, your micro-segment audiences. Then we want to take a look at searchable. Is your content search-able, capable to be searched? Then we're going to take a look at, is it snackable? Think about a bag of Doritos at a party in Colorado. All right? Very popular at some of those parties. And then shareable. That's the #1 KPI for content, in my opinion, the shareability of it. So when we take a look at searchable, this is actually a 2.5-page document, but you'll notice different elements. We're actually asking people to consider things like the microsegment. Who is the intended audience? Where do you actually intend to distribute it if you're going to distribute it? Do you have an interview and you need to know that person's Twitter name and their ID, or their Facebook name and ID, for example? So we build a lot of different sharing elements into the deck in the first instance. The other part of shareable, quite frankly, is does anyone care about what you're writing about? Are they literally searching for it? And so that what you used to call as keyword research is just search phrases. What are people talking into their phones? What are they typing into the computers? And are you matching up with that? A lot of ways of finding that: Google AdWords Keyword Planner, Visibility Explorer in a tool like Searchlight Conductor, SEMrush. A number of different tools can help you out with, are people actually searching for what you're writing about? Then snackable. Snackable doesn't mean short, sweet fluff. Again, a great snack is something you're literally consuming. You just keep eating it as you go along. It's very, very compelling to you. And there's lots of ways that we can make it snackable, using some of the very elements which will help us for SEO, like headings, breaking things up with tables, charts, graphics, illustrations, to make sure people are actually consuming what we're putting out there in content. And then on who, right, we want to know literally who, as low as we can go, and actually find out where they are. Is this a Facebook group that also meets in Des Moines, on Friday nights? All right, and try to understand who these people are and what they care about. So when we take a look at that, too, on the share-worthy, again, #1 KPI for content is, was it shared? So if you come to me, you're my freelancer, my graphic artist, and you say, I have this amazing infographic, you sell me on your concept, I put it up on my website, and nobody shares it, wasn't such a great idea. When we're looking at it, we want to see, is it getting traction? Where is it getting traction? Is it boost-worthy? It's just like Seinfeld. Is it sponge-worthy? Is it boost-worthy? Should I put a little money behind this to go ahead and get it circulating on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter? And then we benchmark this monthly. So I track it over time. We can see in this case one specific silo. I'm looking at how many leads I had back last year, and then over time, as I get more shares, this is my actual social media shares up top and my backlinks from Ahrefs on the next. I'm getting more traffic. My keyword pipeline is getting stronger, getting more green. And I literally have a spreadsheet. We're keeping it fairly manual now, but I'm keeping it over time. This is about 10 pages long now on the screen. We're tracking all the content we put out there, what we get from it from a share standpoint and a backlink standpoint. #5, listen. All right. My wife's sitting right up front here. Don't ask her later how well I actually listen. But, one mouth, two ears. Literally, what's the audience talking about? A lot of different ways of doing this. One of my favorite tools is Twitter Advanced Search. You can actually go in and mark this up many, many different ways to hear conversations. And again, what I do is I track it with something like Hootsuite. So in Hootsuite, this is a solar energy example. I can look at search phrases for solar. I can look at hashtags. I can look at sentiment analysis. I can look at questions people have about solar energy. Lots of ways to tap into the conversations. Lots of free listening tools. Again, send me a tweet, LinkedIn message. I'll give you a few slides of different things you can use for free to start to listen out there in the social sphere. Spiders. So you have 2 audiences. You have people and you have spiders. If you don't know how to talk to spiders, you're never going to get in front of people. It's just that simple. Spiders are very, very simple creatures. What they do literally is, if you build a website, it is not a field of dreams. Nobody's going to come to it. Nobody's going to come to it. I don't have any way for them to get there. The first thing I do is follow a link. We'll address that in a little bit. But they need to see a link pointing back to your site. They follow it in, they follow it out. Hopefully you've cross-linked within your site so they can get to see more of your site. They index the content on that. They literally weigh it and take a look at what do we think this is about, and then they measure the popularity. It's just like high school. Everyone jump back to high school. Who was the prom queen, the prom king? They measure the popularity of your site. So if we want to really get crawled, we have to get what I call fishy. Just made this up on Twitter one night. We're talking about it, but look at the Google Freshbot versus Deep Crawl Bot. Anyone kind of remember 9/11 way back when? World Trade Center buildings and all that? Google had no way for people to search what was going on with 9/11. Their website didn't work like that then. They actually hardwired a couple of news sites to search because everyone was trying to search for what was going on. Google had no way of showing us that. So they built what's called this Freshbot, which actually goes out and scanning for fresh content, scanning for news. Something to keep in mind. You want to be fresh. You want to be frequent. The more you put out there, the more you get this other bot coming around crawling your site as well versus kind of the maintenance bot that goes around once a month, every 6 weeks or so. So we're looking for frequency. Is it interesting? Because remember, Google's going to read your page and compare it to all the other pages about a similar topic. If you're just kind of like, you know, you're not going to get indexed so much. The structure of it, which is not just the page itself, but your website, think about taxonomies, think about categories, tags, how you actually structure the site, headings, which we'll talk about in much more detail here. Again, newspaper style, how are you structuring the page itself and the content. And then the two forms of digital word of mouth. Inbound links, literally somebody's putting a link to your site from their site. And then the engagement part, which is sharing, social sharing, which is becoming a ranking factor and bringing a lot of traffic to people's sites. And then S is for sitemap. So use your webmaster tools, give them your little cheat sheet. Hey, here's my site, and then you'll get crawled more often.